Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for staying up late here tonight for another edition of the NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005 season mode playthrough. It's the NASCAR Busch Series and it is race number 11 on the season as we go to the Richmond Raceway for the first of two times this season for the Funai 250. 250 laps around this three-quarter mile short track here tonight. Like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we're going to get into this race as this one should fly by 250 miles on a short 250 laps in fact on a short track. Not going to be that long of a race here for this Busch Series event, and glad to see you guys tuning in already. R6 welcome to the stream, and welcome again everybody else will be coming on in throughout the course of this one. Kevin Harvick qualified on the pole. He is the driver we are running as for the season because you guys, the fans, have voted for me to race as him. So here we go. Cars One Boy, welcome to the stream. As well, green flag in the air. Harvick leads the field of the green. David Green on the outside of the front row for the initial start of tonight's race. As Kevin Harvick will lead the field down into turns 1 and 2. Casey Atwood in third place, running in right behind him right now. Harvick going to try to hold him off as best as he possibly can. Patrick Chatterley, welcome to the stream. Kevin Harvick will lead lap 1, scored himself 5 bonus points. Harvick just took the points lead away from Bobby Hamilton Jr. at the end of that last race last weekend. That race took place on Saturday night, where Kevin Harvick got the victory at Old Spice Speedway in the first road course race of the season. In the second to last race at the California Speedway, Kevin Harvick got wiped out late by Matt Kenseth, who went on to win that race. Harvick ended up finishing 16th, unfortunately, in that battle for the win with just 4 laps to go when that crash happened. The race ended under yellow. So don't forget, if Kenseth is in this race here tonight, with this being on a Cup Series racetrack for the Cup Series race weekend, he very well could be racing. I did not see him in the starting lineup. But if Harvick sees him, he's going to want payback on him. What better track than to do that at Richmond, where you're at a short track? Guessing Logano wins at the Glen. That's an interesting prediction. Oh, Atwood in the wall off turn 4. He's in second place right behind race leader Kevin Harvick. Harvick not getting away in the early going, but he does pull away a couple car lengths at least away from Atwood off turn 2 that last lap. Already locked up the Truck Series and the Modified Series Championship. Just got the Busch Series and the Cup Series to go on NASCAR 05 before the custom scheduled seasons. Still about 2/3 of the season yet to go in the Busch Series. Hence the action here tonight. Welcome to people of property. Welcome to the stream. How's it going? No practice, but there was qualifying for tonight's race. Harvick kind of hitting his marks at least early on. Logano was a sleeper pick. Well, he wouldn't be a sleeper pick because he'd have to be a must-have or don't have. The sleeper picks are considered. I usually try to keep them as drivers outside the top 10 in points, or drivers that have won less than 2 races this season. So, like Kurt Busch, for instance, in my opinion, is still a sleeper pick, even though he's won recently, because he is outside the top 10 in points. Almirola would definitely be a sleeper pick, too. Christopher Bell. Maybe not your usual suspect of drivers, I guess you would say. Tim Irvin, welcome to the stream. It's like the second place driver, Casey Atwood's been having a lot of pressure more behind him than what he has put on Kevin Harvick in the opening 10 laps of tonight's race. Ron Hornaday Jr. trying to make the pass to make it RCR running order 1-2 in the very beginning of this one. Chastain would be a sleeper pick if he got in. I mean, the only must-haves would be like your usual suspects, like your Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr. All 3 of the Penske guys. Really, I'd throw Blaney in the must-have or the don't-have list. I don't think he's considered a sleeper anymore. He's got 5 career wins now. He wins, one race this season, but it's different from Kurt Busch because Kurt Busch is in a little bit lesser equipment than what Ryan Blaney's in, and he's a lot worse in points than what Blaney is. Blaney's like 8th in points right now. Kurt Busch is like 13th or 14th, so there's a difference there. Also, it definitely can fluctuate throughout the course of the season. Should I trust Brad Keselowski at the Glen? You guys got a lot of fantasy advice coming up this weekend. Keselowski is on the pole at Watkins Glen this weekend. If there's one road course you should trust Keselowski at, I'd say it's Watkins Glen, but you'll have to tune in on Sunday, early Sunday before the start of the Cup race to give you guys my full in-depth predictions. Don't want to lead you guys one way or the other without some extra statistics to throw in there, and I haven't really looked too into detail yet. Gonna have a good. Usually, I try to take my notes Sunday morning before the start of the stream. I kind of recheck my notes, but I usually take them the Thursday I'm off because that's the last day I'm off of work before the Cup race weekend. So I will start taking my notes tomorrow. Harvick's out to a 7/10 of a second lead now, just gradually pulling away. It was very close within a half a second those first 10 laps, and now he's starting to open up a little bit more of a lead as this run carries on. Still very early in this race, anything can happen, and it's not like the modified series in the recent streams that we've seen with NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005, where we will have cautions if we do end up getting any accidents. Oh, by far, Michael. Welcome to the stream, by the way, Michael Turner and Kyle Larson fan. Seen Ryan Blaney's girlfriend. I'm pretty sure they've been together for a couple of years now. I think she's like a Hooters model or something, if I'm not mistaken. Tell you what, these NASCAR drivers. I think I have a second guessing myself on what I should say there. I'm gonna. I mean, I wasn't gonna go like vulgar with it, but I'm not gonna. Yeah, never mind. Never mind what I was gonna say. Lap 20 in this one. Harvick's led the first 20 laps of this race so far tonight from the pole. 1.2 second lead. It's going to be the last short track we're going to see on the schedule for the next few races at least. Dodge Raceway, I believe, is coming up fairly soon on this Busch Series schedule. A lot of the fantasy tracks are put into the Busch Series schedule at least once during the season. Get to see some of the older tracks that are no longer on the schedule that were on at one point in time as well, like your Nazareth Speedway, like Milwaukee. Get to see the returns of those racetracks as well. And it could just be that Casey Atwood being the driver in second place is the reason why Harvick's pulling away. Maybe if we get a newcomer into second place, they might be able to run down Kevin Harvick. We have one driver blowing an engine on the inside of the racetrack. That would be the 46 car of Ashton Lewis. So Lewis has dropped an engine in the first 22 laps now, and it looks like his night's going to come to an early end. Oh, Harvick into the wall off turn 2. He pushed that race car way too hard. Got back into the gas way too soon. And that 1.2 second lead has evaporated, and Casey Atwood's all over his back bumper now at the start-finish line this time by. First mistake Harvick's made in the early going of tonight's race. Nice and smooth and sound up until then. All the clean air, just tiny little mistake, and Atwood's right back on him with a little bit of pressure. I think Tim is laughing at my. This is a late stream. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I got home earlier. I kind of got sidetracked, and I'm not gonna lie. I don't like streaming this late. I don't think we're gonna have any more streams beyond 9 o'clock anymore, so it's okay. This will be the last one, I promise. I know we've had a lot of those the last couple weeks. I'm off of work tomorrow, otherwise I probably wouldn't stream tonight. But this is a quicker race though too. It should get done probably top of the hour, around 11 o'clock or so. Probably a little after. Probably expecting about a quarter after 11 the race will be done. Especially if we stay caution free like we have in the early going. Not sure exactly how many pit stops we're going to end up having in this race. If I had to assume, it's probably going to be a two-stopper. Obviously, that's going to be dependent on how the cautions might fly in this one as well. So Harvick had at one point a 1.2 second lead. He got into the wall a little bit off the exit of turn 2 while leading about 8 or 9 laps ago. Lead got brought down to about 0.3 of a second again, and now he's able to push it right back out to about a 1 second lead again at lap 30 this time by. Harvick dominating early on, although, again, dominating as far as laps led, margin of lead has not been more than 1.3 seconds in the first 30 laps, and there hasn't been any lap traffic yet. That's going to be a huge difference maker. Another difference maker, again, is Casey Atwood the second fastest car on the racetrack? Because it seems like he's been holding up guys like Ron Hornaday and Kyle Busch right behind him, that they have not been able to get around him, make the pass for second, and maybe put some extra pressure on Harvick that Atwood is not able to do here early on. Casey Atwood is coming off a great performance, a top 5 at Old Spice Speedway in the last race, but with a lot of Cup Series regulars running this race versus just Kevin Harvick, it's going to be a lot harder job maybe for Atwood to get a solid run here tonight, but he's holding on strong, at least for the early going. Ashton G, welcome to the stream. Sorry, late again. Hey, I'm late too, so no worries there whatsoever. Thanks for tuning in nonetheless. It's all that matters. Got 10 people watching right now, only 3 likes. Make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already for more daily NASCAR content. Road to 1,000 subs, but most importantly, the road to becoming a NASCAR commentator in the future. We have full race live streams for both real races with a realistic broadcast, just like you're seeing tonight with NASCAR video games as well, both current and past. Of course, this one a classic, my personal favorite NASCAR game, NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005. This is the video game I played the most growing up as a kid. Doing some season playthroughs here, wrapping up the NASCAR Heat 5 career mode that will return again tomorrow night for the Charlotte Roval, as we're in the playoffs there as well. Trying to get that all wrapped up before the next NASCAR game comes out. So a lot of action on the channel. Vlogs will be uploaded definitely before I go to Indy. The last 2 vlogs I still have to upload is the rest of Pocono. Some of the Pocono stuff's up on the channel. I got the rest of Pocono to upload. Good chance that'll be out by the end of this weekend. And then before I leave for Indy next week, I'll end up having all the Road America stuff put out. So I want to get that caught up before I go to Indy in a couple weeks. Be there for the whole weekend of events. The IndyCar race on Saturday, the Xfinity race on Saturday, and then the Cup race at the Brickyard 400 on the Sunday. Be my first ever IndyCar race. And second race I've ever seen in Indianapolis NASCAR-wise. I saw the Brickyard 400 2018. This is the road course, though, so I consider it a different track. So I had to make sure I got back to the racetrack there. First to fifth in the fantasy points, but only 110 behind, so that separates top 5. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. 110 points, and I mean, the winner's been scoring well over 200, like, pretty much every week this season, so you still have a real good fighting chance there, Tim. Still got 4 races, too, in the regular season finale at Daytona. Anything could happen. If you're within 200 points, you still have a shot. That's kind of like that cutoff ground, I feel like. I don't think I've led in the season standings all year, and I think I've only won like 1 or 2 weeks all season, but I'm like consistently like up in the top scoring, and that's why I'm second in the overall points. I'm not that far off the lead. A lot of that is just saving the guys that I know I have usages for and knowing what tracks I was going to be able to use them by the end of the season. I got the strategy game in play. I always try to give you guys the best advice, though, so I only make it harder on myself, really, giving you guys the best analysis I possibly can for the weekend. Forgot to mention, we also have that stuff on the channel: predictions, post-race analysis, fantasy advice as well on the channel if you're not subscribed. Also, chance to enter into the fantasy league, chance at winning 2 tickets to any race of your choosing in the 2022 NASCAR season, excluding the Daytona 500. Almost a fifth of the way home already. These guys have not hit halfway on fuel yet, lap 43. I'd expect these guys could go probably a little over 100 laps on fuel, but I don't think they can make it to that 125 mark to make this race a two-stopper. We'll just have to wait and see. Got KFB in your garage this week. Yeah, he's really good at Watkins Glen. He's been really good on the road courses in general this season. Outside of the Daytona road course, that's like the only one I can remember him not running well at. A lot of that's been bad luck, though. That track, just like last season there, too. Favorite NASCAR game ever is NASCAR 06 Total Team Control. Yeah, that'll be pretty cool. We actually have not DNF'd in NASCAR 05, and trust me, the DNFs are on. The damage is on full. We have just been stellar with this game. A lot more stellar than what we were with NASCAR Thunder 04. We did not DNF at all in the modified series, and we never DNF'd at all in the truck series as well. Now, there was, I think, 1 or 2 modified races where we got in a serious accident. One of those just a couple nights ago towards the end of the season at Old Spice Speedway. We survived that one. And there was another wreck earlier in the year as well, and I can't remember what racetrack it was at. But we had some like serious damage where like the suspension was broken in the race car, and I think we finished like last car in the lead lap in like 18th or something, just limping it home. Finished a couple laps down. We've just had our way. Somebody's starting to slowly challenge Kevin Harvick for the race lead. That would be the number 5 of Kyle Busch in that low Chevrolet. Busch was able to get around Casey Atwood for second a handful of laps ago, and from that 1.3 second deficit of a lead, he has now cut it to a half a second that time at the line. It'll be lap 50 this time by. Didn't I DNF with the back controller? Yes, but I also DNF'd with the new one too. We just had a lot of bad luck with NASCAR Thunder 04. Kyle Busch so much faster than Harvick that last lap. He was about 0.3 of a second quicker, and he's now within about 2 to 3 car lengths into turn 1 this lap. Seems like Harvick's a little bit better maybe on entry to turn 1, but turns 3 and 4, Kyle Busch has been gaining so much time on Kevin Harvick there. A little sharper angle getting into that corner with a wider exit compared to the other end of the track at turns 1 and 2. Busch another 1/10 of a second faster than Harvick that last lap as he tries to put the pressure on the 21. For really the first time tonight, Harvick's led the first 50 laps from the pole, but even during this long green flag run, and well, so much for that, caution trouble in turn 2. At lap 51 will be the first caution of the race tonight at Richmond. David Green with a little bit of a spin. Looked like everybody else missed him to the outside. Not sure how the accident started, but he got the wall off the exit of turn 2, maybe head on with the right front. And David Green, who qualified second, having issues here early. Kevin Harvick going to stay out of the pits. We'll see if everybody else stays out behind him. And according to the crew chief, Kevin Harvick, it sounds like those drivers just hit pit road. That is going to be interesting. Green flag back in the air at lap 55. Field is bunched back together again after a first caution of the race. Harvick leads the field into turn 1, and Kyle Busch on the fresher tires will get to the inside and get to the race lead off turn 2. Powering by Kevin Harvick on the restart. And Busch will lead his first lap of the night. 5 bonus points for Kyle Busch. Harvick back to the inside with a great drive off turn 4. Sends it deep into turns 1 and 2. Clears Kyle Busch right back again, even on the older tires. Side by side for third off turn 2 as well, still further back. Busch trying to cross Harvick back over in 3 and 4, but Harvick shuts the door in the center of the corner to hold on to the lead. David Green holding on to third right now, even after bringing out that last and only caution of the race. These guys might not have hit pit road. I don't know how much I really trust the crew chief in this game. Though it would have been a wise decision. The race leader stayed out for everybody else to pit there. Caution's going to save about 4 laps of fuel for these teams. They went green at lap 55. Lap 51 was the timing of the caution, so 50-lap green flag run to start this race. There it is, halfway on fuel at lap 60 for Kevin Harvick. Had 4 caution laps mixed in there. And if the rest of the field pitted, we know they can make it on one more stop from here. From Kevin Harvick's standpoint, it's still looking like at least a 2-stopper, so we'll have to see how the cautions might play out the rest of the way. We still got a decent ways to go with just under 200 laps left. Harvick's led all but 1 lap so far tonight. That 1 lap was led by Kyle Busch, first lap after the restart. That's the drivers I want to pick for a fantasy can't use. I used them all up already. Yeah, I don't know how the usage rule is going to be in the playoffs. They seem to change it every year. Like some years, there's you can only use them up to 5 times. Some years you have to pick 2 playoff drivers and 2 non-playoff drivers. Last year it didn't matter. It just changes every year with the rules there. The regular season rules have been the same since I started playing 3 or 4 years ago, but except for the bonus points. Bonus points have changed a little bit, but as far as your starting rotation, that hasn't changed. Kyle Busch starting to put the pressure back on Harvick after they got about 5 to 10 laps into the restart. Seems like Kyle Busch might have a faster long-run car than Kevin Harvick, and Harvick's got the short-run car, at least when they get 2 to 3 laps into the restart. Busch definitely took off a lot better at the start-finish line initially to get around Harvick, but then Harvick got back around into the next lap. Both passed each other cleanly, too. Kyle Busch was the driver that Kevin Harvick battled for the win at Old Spice Speedway with. Busch coming off that runner-up finish, too. Happy Harvick. Busch had a great corner getting into 3, a little bit wider entry, but a little bit wider exit as well, allowing Harvick to get a little bit of better drive off. That caution came out not too far before the lap traffic was about to be hit for the first time tonight, so now no lap traffic in front of Harvick again. He's got the clean air. It's going to make it harder for Kyle Busch to get around him on this longer run. Harvick's going to try to stay out as long as he can for fuel purposes here, but here's the issue. Is if everybody pitted, they could go about 50 to 55 laps longer than Kevin Harvick on fuel this run. That is not what Harvick wants to see if we get a caution at some point from the time he pits before everybody else hits pit road. Busch closes in again there through turns 3 and 4. Harvick still got the lead at the line. Busch looks low. Harvick going to try the block into turn 1. And Busch gets a little tight. He goes up the racetrack over driving 1 and 2. And Harvick gaps him again by about 2 to 3 car lengths. As Harvick's trying to get as many laps in lead as he can, especially when he pits, not knowing if he could get back to the lead. And Kyle Busch and Harvick are definitely making this a 2-car breakaway. With Busch not getting alongside Kevin Harvick and not battling back and forth with him, it's kind of still allowing these top 2 to pull away from everybody else, versus if Busch kept battling underneath Harvick, or maybe getting into the back of him, making contact with him. Just simply passing each other, even if it's cleanly back and forth. That would slow their lap times down quite a bit, but staying single file like this, they're still pulling away. Trying to make this a 2-car battle and settle it between themselves tonight. Harvick going to try a little bit wider entry into turn 1. He had a little bit of a gap from Kyle Busch behind him that he was able to do that and get a better drive off turn 2. Gotten a lot better with his drive off of turn 4. Turn 2, he felt like he needed some work. He was able to get into the corner a lot better there. Now he's going to try to hug the bottom a little bit more. Busch kind of closed in that last lap through 3 and 4. Just doesn't want to risk giving up the bottom like he did on the initial restart. Busch again tight off turn 4. Oni, welcome to the stream. Busch underneath Harvick off turn 2. He is there. Harvick going to have the outside down into turn 3, and Kyle Busch blows past him through the braking zone. Busch is clear off 4. Harvick with the crossover at the line. Harvick leads the lap by inches. So Busch never officially took the lead there. Harvick battled him back. Now he drives it deep into 1 and 2 and clears Kyle Busch right back again. So Busch got close to leading a lap there. Never quite did. He did lead 1 lap earlier, so he does have 5 bonus points, but no official lead change. Harvick fends him off, 75 laps complete. Harvick still led all but 1 lap tonight. And after Harvick got back around Busch, he gaps him quickly and has about a half a second lead. A swing and a miss there for Busch. Appreciate that comment, by the way, Oni. Took Kyle Busch a couple laps to try and even battle closer to the back of Kevin Harvick. Ooh, Harvick bottomed out a little bit. In 3 and 4, car goes up the track. Might be a chance for Kyle Busch to pounce in turn 1. Harvick going to try to throw the block. Big push. Pass him on the outside. Kyle looks high. Might get a run off turn 2. Had to lift a little extra to keep it off the wall, and Harvick gaps him a tiny bit again. These two definitely racing clean with each other. At least for right now, but it's fun to watch. Because they're still battling pretty hard. So Busch got underneath him once in turns 3 and 4 and once in turns 1 and 2. So Kyle's shown he can get it done on both ends of the racetrack. Favorite NFL team's the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, Hall of Fame game tomorrow night. Preseason starts. Got my fantasy football draft in 3 weeks, I believe, from this weekend. Only other fantasy sport I play. I tried fantasy baseball before, but it's fun. But having to keep up with it every day, I do forget days from time to time throughout the course of the season. Like I wake up, I'll have to go to work, get in my pre-work routine, and just kind of forget about it. At least with football, it's once a week. NASCAR is once a week. A lot easier to keep track. Busch getting so close to getting around Kevin Harvick again. Definitely got to be the two fastest cars in the field. Harvick's better on the short runs, that's for sure. The long run speed might be going to Kyle Busch. He could just get the track position on the actual longer run itself. Try to keep it. The right front tire starting to wear out a little bit more on Harvick's race car. It's in the yellow off turn 2 that time. Kyle Busch couldn't quite take full advantage of it, though. See if he does into 3 and 4. Harvick goes a little bit wider. Busch is there, but can't get to the inside of Harvick yet. Nearing lap 100. Harvick a little wide. Through 1 and 2. Scrapes the wall. Way too wide in that corner. Tire's starting to wear out. Obviously didn't help him. Kyle Busch going to try to clear him off turn 4. Pulls up, and he is clear off turn 4. Kyle Busch back to the lead for the second time tonight. Harvick settles in line behind him for the moment. We'll see if Busch can drive away. Or we're going to try to keep the pressure back on him again. We'll shut the door on Kevin Harvick that time. Harvick with a pretty decent corner exit. Just a couple laps after Kyle Busch takes the lead, Harvick gets back around him again through 1 and 2. It's like somebody got into the outside wall off turn 2 that last lap right after Kyle Busch took the lead. Harvick a little loose getting down into turn 3. Pushes up the track in the center of the corner. Busch almost got underneath Harvick. Almost got into the back bumper as well off turn 4. Shows how hard Kyle Busch is digging. Sends it into 1. No chance for Harvick to beat him to the inside. And again, Kyle Busch clear off turn 2 for the race lead. And shuts the door on Harvick on the other end of the track. Now these guys are really starting to battle back and forth. Off turn 4. Busch leads the lap at the line. Harvick dive bombs into turn 1. Back to the lead again. Now we're getting some lead changes in here as these guys have about a quarter of a tank of fuel left. At least for Harvick's sake. Again, we don't know if the leader's exactly pitted during pit road or not. It'd be easier to tell if he weren't the leader at the time of the caution. Crew chiefs can be wrong in this game. They're caution when they're talking about people pitting. Your favorite team's the Saints. Yeah, I'll be interested to see what they can do with Jameis Winston this season. Now that Drew Brees is retired. Might be the last shot for my Packers with Aaron Rodgers, so I'm hoping we can do it. Bring back those childhood memories from 2011. That'd be awesome. It'll be 11 years from the last Super Bowl win if they could get it done this season. We've been 11 years old. They've been close so many times. Almost year in and year out since. They just can't get it done. They haven't even been back since then. You get to the NFC Championship game so many times and they just lose. I think they've been back to the NFC Championship game 4 times since then. And they haven't won. Division around even more times than that. I'll be your first ever mod. I don't know how exactly I'm going to do it. I'll probably end up just making like a bunch of people mods. It's not like it's going to be one by one by one. Obviously, you have to be a subscriber of the channel. And if you're here more often than not, which I'll know who you guys are. You guys will know who will be the mods. Harvick almost a little too wide getting into turn 1 after Busch got around him and led that last lap. Harvick gets him back in turns 1 and 2. Busch can't quite get back underneath him though off of turn 4. Probably expecting anywhere between lap 115 to lap 120 is when we're going to see Kevin Harvick hit pit road. Guys getting a lot closer to the lap traffic once again. Busch drives it really deep into turn 3 on the bottom of the racetrack. Slides up. Harvick. Oh, he's having a little issue off turn 4 trying to hang on to his race car. Really slides into turn one now as Kyle Busch will take the race lead. They have to earn it. Well, yeah. Again, I'll know. It'll obviously go to the people who have been here the longest. And if you ask to be a mod when I'm giving mods out, there's a good chance you're not going to be a mod. I'm not going to, like, I'll handpick these people on my own. It's not like there's going to be a vote or beggars aren't choosers. I know you're just asking in advance, Sony, but I'm talking about when the time comes. I'm just setting the example right now because I just have that feeling, and that's why we didn't do mods earlier when I was going to start doing mods a while back, is because we had like 3 or 4 people in the chat like, oh, why is he a mod? Oh, I want to be a mod. So that's why nobody was a mod. So people asking, like, oh, when is there going to be moderators in the chat? Well, that's why we don't have any right now. Because it got out of hand once. Oh, my goodness. Harvick got really loose into turn 3. We haven't seen him that out of shape yet. Gonna alternate through the different camera angles for about the next 4 laps. Kyle Busch leads the race now. Kevin Harvick in second. Lap traffic about to come into play very shortly. The 119 car will be the first lap car at the back of the field. Remember, at the timing of that first yellow lap 51, there was no lap traffic. Well, they definitely have some lap traffic to deal with for the moment. Busch kind of blocking Harvick in the meantime as well. Lap cars, for the most part, at least the first 2, going to stay out of the way of both Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch. Just letting these 2 racers race it out. So that fuel tank starts to get a little bit lower. And even though Harvick and Busch have battled for the lead quite a bit here early on, they have been very patient with one another at the same time, just picking and choosing their spots wisely. Harvick being extra patient right now, knowing his handling's really starting to go away towards the end of this fuel run. And he'll be taking 4 tires upon himself in that race team here very shortly. Boy. Busch blocking into turn 1 that time. Harvick would like to get to the race lead before we end up seeing pit stops at some point, but for right now, Busch is going to hang on. Busch and Harvick are just flying through the lap traffic. See if Harvick can put any pressure on Kyle. He's going to drive it deep into turn 1. Kyle really pinched him down. Harvick went as low as he could without taking out the inside wall going into turn 1. Couldn't go any lower. Gets a really low exit to turn 4. This time he gets underneath Kyle Busch. And he should clear him into turn 1 if he can outbrake him, which he will. He does slide the tires a little bit. Harvick still cleared off turn 2. Back in the race lead once again. 21 Reese's Chevrolet. So we got Chevys 1-2 here tonight. Same 2 that we saw at Old Spice Speedway battle for most of the race. Both led a lot of laps in that one. Harvick has by far led the most tonight, but Busch has definitely been right there with him every step of the way, pretty much since about lap 40 on. Never want a short pit on a road course if you can help, or I should say short track if you can help it, but Harvick's going to have to bring that car to pit road here pretty soon. Fuel tank's almost empty. You can go a few more laps here without having to pit. And he's in the lead now, which is where he wants to be at the timing of him coming to pit road. And if he can catch a lucky caution right before he hits pit road, that would be an added bonus, and they can pit under the yellow, just shy of the halfway mark. Wally Renshaw on the 106 car kind of pinched Harvick off a little bit, 3 and 4. Harvick still able to gap Kyle Busch, though. 3 wide into turn 1 for Harvick. Really loose. Up the track goes Harvick, and Kyle Busch going to get back to the lead as Harvick gets squeezed 3 wide off turn 2. Contact with Donnie Hart, the 128 car, the lap car. Harvick evades on for right now. Just barely kept it off the wall. That was very, very risky moment, to say the least. Harvick trying to make it to lap 115 before he hits pit road. He'll be at lap 114 this time by. Got to get back by Corey Haynes once again as he closes again back to Kyle Busch into turn 1. Yeah, Tim called it. Yep. Aiming for lap 115. We got to halfway on fuel lap 60, but we also have 4 caution laps between then, so I don't want to take it quite to lap 120. I don't think we'll make it. Busch leads a lap at the line. Harvick going to dive bomb into turn 1 and clears Kyle Busch once again back to the race lead. Right before Kevin Harvick is going to come to pit road. 70 miles per hour is the pit road speed limit at every racetrack in this NASCAR EA Sports video game. Easily, Kevin Harvick going to make it into the pits at that speed. 4 fresh tires, full tank of fuel, no damage is going to be repaired here. There really isn't any damage to Kevin Harvick's race car. And he's on pit road for his first stop of the night. I believe every lead lap car has pitted already prior to Harvick pitting right now. So they're likely only 1 stop away from the finish. Which so is Harvick, but he's really going to have to start to run these guys down with these fresher tires. He's going to have about 55 lap fresher tires. It's going to be 1 lap down. Kyle Busch is the new race leader once again. Kevin Harvick gets back up to speed. We'll see what he can do. He'd like to get back on the lead lap. Well, when will the rest of the field pit as we're almost halfway home? DB Forever 85, welcome to the stream. David Green just ahead of Kevin Harvick. He was the driver who brought out that first caution of the race today. So it's a 1 pit stop race to the end for everybody. Harvick did not pit under that first caution. And if it goes green all the way to the end, that is going to be just a huge, huge mistake for Harvick. There's Matt Kenseth in the 17. Not looking for payback right now on Matt Kenseth. He needs us to stay green while he's a lap down. Especially knowing he isn't even the first car lap down. He wouldn't even be in the free pass position. He's currently 41st. Definitely going to give Kyle Busch quite a few laps led, assuming he could stay out in front. Harvick definitely going to be the fastest car on the racetrack, though, now. His only competition before the pit stop was Kyle Busch. NASCAR Heat 5 will return again tomorrow. A little bit of a doubleheader action on the channel as well. We'll have a Charlotte Roval tomorrow at about 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then after that, we'll have a NASCAR Heat 5 online lobby for you guys. Promise that we do it at some point during the 2-week break for NASCAR. So that will end up being tomorrow after our Charlotte Roval career mode race on the NASCAR Heat 5 video game. Harvick is definitely blowing by these lead lap cars right now. These 55 lap pressure tires. I'd imagine he's going to have quite a big lead on Kyle Busch after the pit stop cycle through. If they cycle through under green. Our first caution of the race came at lap 51, so this is already the longest of the 2 green flag runs so far tonight. Harvick needs to get through this traffic quickly, but he's got to get it through it cleanly. Again, he doesn't want to see a yellow. That would just be catastrophic. Him back in the 35th position right now. As we are just past halfway home. Under 24 to go out of 250. His lead lap cars have been pretty lenient. Even the lap cars before the pit stop for Harvick were being pretty lenient with him. Really letting him race, not really crowding him at all. For a short track, quite surprised to being this lenient, especially in the second half of the race now. We know how aggressive they get in the second half of the race on these NASCAR EA Sports video games. Best lap of the race for Harvick here tonight is a 21.531. That last lap was a 21.622, but he's obviously dealing with a lot of traffic right now. I remember Richmond and NASCAR Thunder 2004 was like our best racetrack. We led over 300 laps in 2 races there. Won them both, too. Obviously, we ran a couple more than 2 races, but I just remember dominating a couple of them. I think we dominated the truck in the modified series race here, but this Busch race has been a lot more competitive, at least with Kyle Busch so far tonight. Try to cross over the 56 in front of him. That would be, I was about to say Scott Busch. That would be the 56 truck in the truck series in this game. I'm not sure who it is in the Busch National Series. David Stremming, the 32, just up ahead. Harvick got to get underneath him off turn 4. Harvick not that far behind race leader Kyle Busch. Busch has lapped quite a few cars right now. Currently only 18 drivers on the lead lap. With these fresher tires right now for Kevin Harvick, he's really starting to run down Kyle Busch, which is good because he really needs to cut into that deficit knowing it's going to be a one-stopper to the end for not only Kevin Harvick, but for Kyle Busch as well. As far as the rest of the field, also. Harvick is the first driver 1 lap down, but he'd like to get back on the lead lap in case we get a yellow. If we get another yellow, he can make it on fuel to the end from here. So we're seeing some drivers short pit now as that fuel window, again, is just opening from now to the end of the race. So some drivers going to take maybe a little bit of a risk, hoping it stays green to the finish. Kyle Busch going to try to block Harvick, keep him a lap down as long as possible. Harvick's got those 55 lap fresher tires, just drives underneath Kyle Busch this lap and will unlap himself. Pretty easily cleared himself into turn 1. So Kevin Harvick back on the lead lap. That was a big pass for him. Now a caution will not trap him a lap down in this race tonight. And when does Kyle Busch pit? You have to assume he's not going to play it risky. He's just going to stay out as long as he can. I'd say he's got the advantage over Kevin Harvick right now, who seems to be his main competitor as far as the race win goes, unless we get some late race cautions in this one. We did see quite a few of them pop up late at California, but then if we look at the last race at Old Spice Speedway, we had 2 cautions. Both were in the first half of the race. Contact off turn 4 just up ahead. Terry Cook got into somebody. Herbie Sadler's just up here as well. I believe Greg Biffle's in this mix. Oh, man, Harvick into the back of Sadler down the back straightaway. Closed up on him pretty quickly. 3 wide underneath Sadler and Biffle into turn 1. Squeezes in there. Both those spots were for position. I believe the 10 cars for position as well for 12th. Harvick's going to be back in the top 10 at least before you know it. He's still quite a ways, about 19 and a half seconds behind Kyle Busch. Yeah, it's pretty hard to get the outside working on a non-super speedway on this game. And you got to figure though too, at this point in NASCAR, a lot of the mile and a halves where you see drivers racing on the top side now, they weren't able to at this time period in NASCAR, not because of the Gen 4 cars itself, but it was just because of the tire wear. In 2004, 2003 seasons where we saw the NASCAR Thunder 04 playthrough, and now this NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005 playthrough. The 2003-2004 season, a lot of the mile and a halves were still fairly new on the schedule. Only 4 to 6 years on the race, only 4 to 6 years on their surfaces. So there wasn't really a lot of tire wear on them. They hadn't been through many winters, especially if they were down south. So not a lot of erosion to cause the racetrack to maybe lose a little bit of grip, like we see at in Atlanta nowadays, like we see at even tracks like Las Vegas and Kansas that have multiple lanes, and Homestead. It just wasn't a thing back in the early 2000s. Tracks were, itself faster. They were more freshly paved. Some of these tracks, like Kansas and Chicagoland, were only around from the year 2000, 2001, so they had even less years than, say, Atlanta and California had at this time period. The very end of the Gen 4 is when we started seeing tracks like Kansas where you could run the outside. Harvick back to 6th, but still 16 seconds off the race lead. Just past David Green for 5th. The fact that David Green brought out the only caution of the race and is still in the top 10 is pretty good. He had a fast car at the start of the race, though, too. Held on the top 5 for quite a while after qualifying 2nd. Dropped a couple spots early to Casey Atwood and Kyle Busch, but outside of that, he's done a pretty swell job. Now he's back to 6th place, but Harvick trying to close in. Kyle Busch still hasn't pit yet. And I think when Kyle Busch pits, Kevin Harvick's going to have to pit as well. Got to stay on the same strategy as him once Kyle decides to pit. So they pit at the caution, which came out at lap 51. We went green at lap 55. Harvick went 115 laps on fuel with that caution. So from lap 55, about 110 to 115 lap run for Kyle Busch for his full fuel run. As Kevin Harvick makes a pass now on Bobby Hamilton Jr. for 4th place into turns 1 and 2. Huge chunk of lap traffic just up ahead of Kevin Harvick. But anyway, we are getting pretty close to the pit stop for Kyle Busch, assuming he pits around that lap 110, lap 115 mark in his fuel run. Maybe he can make it to 120, but I don't see him making it any further than that. I mean, realistically, that's anywhere in the next really 25 to 30, 20 to 30 laps we're going to be seeing Kyle Busch hit the pits. Kenseth just up ahead. Harvick on these fresher tires. Kenseth with that defensive line into turn 3. Kenseth took out Kevin Harvick. Harvick going to save his payback on him right now. He's going to pass him cleanly into turn 1 for 3rd place. Try to drive away from Matt Kenseth, keep this race green for the moment. Don't worry, I haven't forgot. We'll get payback on Kenseth some other time, but try to let this race play out for tonight. I believe Dale Jr. will be 2nd place. And Kyle Busch has about a 10-second lead over Jr. I think Kyle Busch is the underwhelming favorite. And I say underwhelming just because people have hyped up Kyle Larson right now. But I think Kyle Busch really turned it on in the summer months right before the playoffs. He's right there with Larson. The only thing he's lacking versus Larson is the playoff points to maybe make it to the championship. 3 wide into turn 3. A little contact with Dale Jr. Harvick sent it in there to make the pass for 2nd. And Harvick shuts the door on Dale Jr. now in turns 1 and 2. He's got a little bit fresher tires. So even with the contact, he was able to make the pass on Dale Jr. Kyle Busch probably has the heaviest lap traffic he's seen all night long right in front of him. So Harvick, with this strategy, has driven back to 2nd place. More of an unintentional strategy than anything else. We'll see if he can run down Kyle Busch before the pit stops, because it's going to be a lot harder to gain when they're on equal tires versus on older tires. And we don't know what the pit stop speeds are going to look like as well. If Harvick's crew is going to be faster or Kyle Busch's crew is going to be faster when they try to make it into the pits. And that's a pretty good pick there, Oni. And Kyle Busch is on pit road right now. So Kyle Busch is in the pits with 91 laps to go here tonight at Richmond. Kevin Harvick going to maybe stay out a couple laps longer just in case we get a caution that can maybe trap Kyle Busch a lap down. So here are the green flag pit stops. But for every lap Harvick stays out, Busch is going to have that much more of an advantage, and Kyle had about a 7-second lead on Harvick before the pit stops. But Dale Jr. is already in the pits as well. And again, Harvick does have to pit before the end of this race. He's probably about 10 laps short on fuel to the end. A caution in the middle of these green flag stops for Harvick's sake now would be absolutely perfect. He's leading a few more laps as well. Kyle Busch led quite a few of them there. From lap 115 to, well, lap 160. Kyle Busch led. He led some laps before that as well. Probably about 10 to 20 laps. So the battle for trying to lead the most laps tonight and get 10 bonus points between Harvick and Kyle Busch is pretty intense. They've been the only 2 drivers to lead laps this entire race. And they've battled back and forth, quite a few lead changes between the 2 of them. For only having 2 different leaders. Billy Kramer, welcome to the stream, by the way. Late night edition. NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005. .108 car. Try to get up to speed. Got to pull out onto the racetrack right in front of Kevin Harvick. Harvick going to take it 3 wide into turn 1 underneath him. lap cars all the way on the bottom. Going to make it 4 wide in turns 1 and 2. A little bit of contact with the 108. Bounces off the wall. Could have been a little worse, I guess. .85 laps to go now with Harvick out in front. Harvick's got a 1-lap lead on the field, so pretty sure every lead lap car has pitted except for, well, yeah, I guess that'd be right, except for race leader Kevin Harvick, who still has to pit before the end of the race. Harvick's going to pit right now. Going to make the late decision, kind of slid the tires. It's going to be a 4-tire stop anyway. Made sure he didn't speed and carried that speed to pit road a lot better than what he did earlier. No adjustments to the 21 car. The second and final stop of the race for him now. Again, a 2-stopper for everybody in this one. He'll likely give the lead back up to Kyle Busch again, who had a 7-second lead before the pit stops, but he didn't want to lose too much more time to him, staying out much more later. It was a clean first stop of the race for Kevin Harvick's crew, and now it's a clean second stop of the race. Harvick lost about, as he gives up the speed here, about a half a second on pit road compared to Kyle Busch, who pitted about 5 laps before him, so that was a little bit of a difference there. Now Harvick's going to have a little bit fresher tires for the next 5 to 10 laps, and then they're going to even out after that. So this is the time for Harvick to gain. He's also got a lot of clean air in front of him as well with these slightly bit fresher tires versus Kyle Busch has heavy lap traffic. But Busch back in the lead again, keeping it to where Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick are the only 2 leaders in this race. Harvick does cycle out in second place as well. Pretty far in front of Dale Jr. and Matt Kenseth, who are behind him. So Kyle Busch trying to beat really the same drivers who are all battling for the win with him in the last race that all these Cup regulars were in at California just a couple races ago. We'll see if he can do it and seal the deal this time. But really, it's just a race between him and Kevin Harvick unless we get a late yellow. Still the only caution of the race is back at lap 51, so over a 120 lap green flag run now. Caution was for David Green spinning in turn 2. All on his own, nobody else was collected. Fastest lap of the race, by the way, for Harvick. One of those first couple laps after coming out of the pits, he ran a 21.450, about a full tenth of a second faster. Nice to be running those fastest laps of the race early in the final tire stint to the end as well. And with that, he has closed in less than a 4.5 second gap now between the top 2. We'll give it a few more laps before the tires even out. Harvick still gaining. Pretty good battle for most of the night between Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick, and I'm thinking this is going to be another good one right here. Look at this heavy lap traffic Kyle Busch had to make his way through, but now it's Harvick's turn. Lost the match with the 52. 52 is one of your better rounds this year, though, isn't it? Seems like you shot in the mid to upper 50s quite a bit this year, so I guess 52 is pretty good for you. Yeah, look at this swarm of traffic in front of Kyle Busch. Really allowed Harvick to close in a lot quicker. Harvick's teammates up here seemingly holding up Kyle Busch as well. That'd be the 2 of Ron Hornaday. Busch has already passed him. Maybe he held him up a little earlier, though. Biffle got a little loose. Busch just putting more and more drivers a lap down. I'm sure he's lapped within the top 10 cars now. Casey Atwood was in the top 5 quite a bit earlier. He's a lap down. Like even the 9 car of Mark Martin's a lap down. One of the Cup Series regulars. Biffle's a lap down as well. So a couple of those Roush Fenway Fords are a lap down of the Cup guys, but the Chevrolets have been the ones who have really dominated today. Kyle Busch, Harvick have led the most, but even Dale Jr.'s up there inside the top 4 as well. Was in 3rd last we do. And now the battle is right there with just over 70 laps to go between Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. J.J. Yeley going to go a lap down off turn 4 at the hands of Kyle Busch. Harvick going to drive it deep into turn 1, trying to get underneath the 5 of Busch. Couldn't quite do it that time. 49's your best round. Well, I just figured one of your best rounds this season. There you go. He's shot into the 40s at least once. Well, for the final 4 laps tonight, we're going to alternate through the different camera angles. Harvick has caught Kyle Busch, but the tires have evened out at this point in the run. That lap traffic really allowed Harvick to close in pretty quickly on Kyle Busch. Now he's got to find a way around him. These two have been fairly patient with one another in this race, so no rush here for Harvick. I know he wants to lead the most laps, but don't want to risk wrecking the race car trying to get around him either. Especially with how clean these two have raced with each other here tonight. Harvick all over Kyle Busch's back bumper. Harvick just trying to fend off the lap car behind him, making sure he can get to the bottom behind Kyle Busch. Drive around David Green, the lap car off turn 2. Busch put a block on Harvick down the back straightaway there. Harvick very close to Kyle Busch's back bumper, but again, he's being a little patient for the moment. Really trying to set up so he can try to drive underneath him off the exit of the corner. I think off the exit of turn 4 is probably going to be the best chance for Harvick. Back to the far chase cam for the rest of the race. Harvick for the lead off 4. He's underneath Busch at the start-finish line. It looked like Busch led the laps by inches. And Harvick is clear off of turn 2. Harvick back in the race lead. Lap car got back underneath Kyle Busch as well. That's going to hold Kyle up just a little bit, and Harvick's going to pull him off turn 4. Just over 60 laps to go. Harvick back out in front again here tonight at Richmond. Took his time getting around Kyle Busch, picked his spot, made it look easy. Busch got caught behind another lap car, and he's about 0.6 of a second off the race lead at the start-finish line this time by now. Tires are evened out. Lap traffic will be a difference maker before the end of this race, that is for certain. Lap cars so far tonight have given pretty good leeway to Kevin Harvick. Tire got to get up at 5. I feel you. I feel you. Luckily, I'm off tomorrow. I'm off on Thursdays generally, so. But I've been up since 5 o'clock today, if that makes you feel any better. So, still been a long day for me. Got up at 5 o'clock yesterday morning for work, too. Got done last night and got in bed by 10:30, so it wasn't a real late night of action last night. I appreciate you sticking around, though, Tim. I know you want to see the end of this race. We're getting closer for you. Only 60 laps to go. Get about 3 laps in a minute, just over a minute at the Richmond Raceway. So probably looking at about 20 minutes to the finish, which is about what I expected. I figured about a quarter after 11 when we started the race. We have had one caution that slowed it down just a tiny bit, but just the one yellow so far. There's not many cars on the lead lap. I don't think it would be a bad decision for Harvick to pit if we got a caution, just in case. Depending on how many laps they're going to have left, of course. Final 10 laps, I don't think he's doing it, especially knowing that the race could end under yellow like it did at California. We have had one green-white checker so far this season. Harvick with just over a 1 second lead on Kyle Busch. Largest lead for Harvick today, when everybody's been on equal tires at least, was 1.3 seconds at one point over Kyle Busch earlier in the race, but that was really once Busch got the second, he closed in on Harvick. At 1.3, 1.4 second lead was pretty much on the 14 of Casey Atwood at the very beginning of the race after Harvick started on the pole there those first 30 laps. Pulled out to that big of a lead. Like the 106 car in this game. Yeah, the paint scheme looks very similar to Todd Clover's 06 car. The font's not that different as well. Clover, one of the Roush Fenway young guns in the mid-2000s. In the Busch Series, ran some selective cup starts, and that was about it for him. Black Flags Matter did a video on him as a NASCAR bus video, so if you don't know who he is or want to learn more, I recommend that video. Shaw kind of cut Harvick off into turn one that time. Kyle Busch, who fell 1.2 off the lead, is back to within 9/10 of a second, so that heavy lap traffic that was holding Busch up slowly starting to hold Harvick back up again. Now he gets underneath Renshaw off turn 4 with 53 laps to go. Tell you what, this race is going to be 10 times quicker than last weekend on Saturday night when we were running at the Old Spice Speedway in the NASCAR Busch Series. That was a 200-lap road course race. And again, it was with the Busch Series cars, not even the Cup Series cars. And that race took 2 hours and 52 minutes. Longest Busch/Xfinity Series race by far we've ever had on the channel. Not the longest race ever, the Coke 600 on NASCAR Heat 4. Still the longest race we've ever had at 3 hours and 36 minutes. .200 laps complete, 50 laps to go here tonight at Richmond. Back out to a 1.3 second lead now for Kevin Harvick. Harvick slides into turn 3 a little bit. Tires aren't that old, only about 30 to 40 laps compared to over 100 laps he had on his tires during that first tire stint of the night. Remember the lap times for that race? Yeah, they were about like 44 to 46 seconds usually. 47 seconds maybe. About the same time it would take to get around Daytona for the Busch Series cars, Busch/Xfinity cars. But I mean, 200 laps at Daytona is like the Daytona 500, and it took almost 3 hours, so it was about normal length there. It was on a road course. It was definitely taxing. I guess according to Michael Turner, the Cup race for our custom schedule season is supposed to be like 300 laps. So that might be the record for the longest race we'll ever have on the channel's history. My goodness. I can't remember if we have to go back to Old Spice Speedway again this season in the Busch Series or not. I don't know for sure, mainly because although this is the actual series scheduled from 2004, as far as the Cup racetracks and the racetracks that are in this game that they actually raced at this time, like Milwaukee and Nazareth as well, they have those fantasy tracks like Dodge Raceway and Red Bull in place of some other tracks like Montreal or Mexico City that the Busch Series would have raced at this time. That those tracks are not in this game. Iowa as well. They raced at Nashville Super Speedway at this time as well. That's not in the game. Memphis isn't in the game. Kentucky's not in this game. So tracks like that are filled up with the fantasy tracks in this game for the Busch in the Truck Series. So that's why you see some of those fantasy tracks in here, even though this is supposed to technically be the actual schedule. The only series that remains the same in this game would be the Cup Series, but even then, Pocono's not in this game, so instead of replacing Pocono, they just dropped 2 races, so it's only 34 instead of 36 races with their Cup schedule. There we go. Kevin Harvick's just clinched the most laps led at lap 209. He's got a 1.8 second lead off turn 2 right now. 42 laps to go. Actually, kind of surprised he clinched the most laps led this early because Kyle Busch did lead quite a few laps today. Harvick currently leads, tacking on to the amount of laps led he's led in this one. And now Harvick's looking for a max points day for possibly the second straight event. I believe he led the most laps by only a few laps over Kyle Busch at Old Spice Speedway as well. Harvick looking to make it back-to-back wins. 40 to go. Definitely lost a lot of time during the course of this run in lap traffic. He lost the lead, and then he kind of hung with Harvick a little bit. Maybe about 15 to 20 laps or so, and that was it. Harvick is starting to sail away. Just over a 2-second lead now for Harvick. Much earlier stream coming up tomorrow night on the channel with having a little bit of a doubleheader for you guys, but not the traditional doubleheader with both races being full race live streams. The first of which will be the NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode. Will be at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow at the Charlotte Roval. It'll be the final race of the round of 12 of the NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode. Got 2 drivers locked in to the round of 8 already, with Keegan Schneider winning the opening race of the round at Las Vegas and Kevin Harvick winning at Talladega back on Monday night. I should say back on Sunday night is when that Talladega Alabama 500 race took place. But then we got online lobby action after the conclusion of that race tomorrow. Probably looking at about anywhere between 8 to 8:30 Eastern Standard Time for that one. Maybe take like a half-hour break in between streams so I can get something to eat. That will be my dinner time in between those streams, but we will end up having an online lobby tomorrow night. So if you have a PlayStation 4, you're more than welcome to tune in, be a part of the live stream. Not just in the chat this time. Still 2 to 2.1 second lead here for Kevin Harvick. Kyle Busch not really showing many signs, if any, at all of trying to close in on Harvick. Harvick does have a decent amount of lap cars, not too much further in front of him, and we'll see how they'll race him. For the most part tonight, they've been pretty lenient with him. But if Kyle Busch is going to want to close in, he's really going to have to put together some really good lap times right now, because Harvick's pace is really only slowing 0.2 of a second over this run, and that's it. Tim Feeta will be the next lap car in front of Harvick. 21.531 that last lap. That's actually less than 1/10 of a second slower than Harvick's fastest lap of the race overall. Harvick keeps running lap times like that midway through a tire stint. He'll be all right and he'll win this race. Again, barring a caution. 30 to go. Trying to get to the white flag. There you go. Tim's excited for the online lobbies tomorrow. Yeah, we'll probably run anywhere between 6 to 8 races again. That's usually pretty good because the length of races we run, if we run about 8 races, it takes just less than 2 hours roughly. I think that's a good amount of time for an online lobby. It's about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Especially considering I do a full race live stream earlier in the day. And especially for tomorrow's sake that it's a cup race, so it's going to take every bit of 2.5 to 3 hours to run it. Don't want to lose my voice completely. Well, halfway out of fuel here for Kevin Harvick, so halfway through the tire stint. And he pitted about 5 to 10 laps after everybody else, so everybody is plenty good on fuel to the end of this race tonight. All pitted in the final 100 laps, 90 to 100 laps for the most part. And go about 115 to 120 on a full tank of fuel. .8-second lead at the start-finish line right now, and Harvick just keeps sailing away. Kyle Busch in desperate need of a caution. It's just strange that he has had a better long-run car for most of the night. You almost wonder if not only is the lap traffic that could be holding up Kyle Busch, because Harvick is really getting through the lap traffic very well. They're being pretty lenient with him for the most part. Do a Watkins Glen race. Yeah, I mean, I always leave it up to you guys in the chat of where we end up racing during the lobby. So, you guys in the chat want me to run Watkins Glen tomorrow night? You just have to tell me in between races. Usually about 4 to 5 overtimes. If I remember right, we had like 20 people in the lobby last time, and we ended up having like 4 or 5 overtimes. I will put the relaxed yellows on instead of the strict yellows, though. And if it gets out of hand again, I'll just go no yellows like I did. So we ended up having to do that after a little while last time. All right, really down to crunch time now. 20 laps to go for Harvick. 3.5-second lead. He is really pulled away. Bobby Hamilton Jr., the second place driver in the point standings coming into this one. Hamilton's had a pretty quiet but consistent season for him to be running second in points. He's less than a half race worth of points behind Harvick as well, so it's a pretty tight battle between the top two. And Harvick just took the points lead in the last race at Old Spice Speedway after a max points day for himself. And Bobby Hamilton Jr. DNF'd as well, blowing an engine, finishing outside the top 40. So the combination of those two led to Harvick taking the points lead after Harvick was down almost 100 points on him. Harvick has not DNF'd yet this season. We know Bobby Hamilton's DNF'd at least the one time right there, start of the year. There will only be 11 races complete out of 34 after this one. Much like the truck and the the trucks and the Featherlight Modified Series on this NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005 video game, it is a full season championship. The only playoff format we'll have is for the Cup Series with the original Chase format where only 10 drivers get in, and it's virtue on points. The top 10 in points at the end of the 24 race regular season will make it to the Chase / playoffs. It's not round by round either for that 10 race playoff. Points will be earned, same points scored throughout the course of the race in the season, with based off your finishing position and bonus points for laps led. 10 for the most laps led and 5 for leading at least one lap. Harvick would like to put Bobby Hamilton Jr. lap down if he can help it. He's not going to force the issue, though, to get around him in case we get a late race yellow. He's got about a 4-second lead. He'd hate to see that be evaporated. 152 car bounced off the wall off turn 4. Look at Hamilton running really low through the tri-oval trying to block the 21. He's holding on in case we get a yellow. He wants a shot at this one too. When there's not many cars on the lead lap, I don't blame him. It is holding up Kevin Harvick a little bit. At least Hamilton's inside the top 10, so it's not like it's holding up Harvick enough to where we have enough laps that Kyle Busch will run him down, running the pace he's running now. I know we're only about a third of the way through this season, but if Harvick can put Bobby Hamilton a lap down again, that would be pretty big. And look at Hamilton crowding Harvick into turn 1 again. Harvick lets him go. Hamilton is closing in on David Stremming. I believe that might be for position ahead of him. 4.1 second lead now. 10 laps to go for Kevin Harvick this time by. If this stays green to the end of the race, this will be a 146 lap green flag run to the finish. And we'll have just that lone caution back at lap 51 for David Green spinning off of turn 2 earlier in the race. Single car spin, nobody else involved, nobody else caused the accident either. And also, restarting with less than 10 laps to go would mean it's a single file restart with the lap cars lining behind the lead lap cars. They will not line up to the inside like you would see on a traditional single file restart. 8 to go now for Harvick. He knows he's less than 3 minutes away from victory if this stays green. Pretty content with riding behind Bobby Hamilton Jr. Kyle Busch is, I think, used up his stuff too early in the run with all that heavy lap traffic, trying to keep up with Harvick and trying to stay in front of him when he came out of the pits. In front of him as well. It just didn't work out for him. So backing up a little bit off 4. Harvick underneath and 3 wide through the tri-oval, 6 to go. David Stremme all the way on the outside as they get 3 wide into the corner. A little tight there, but Harvick going to lap both Stremme and Bobby Hamilton Jr. 5 laps to go this time by. Hamilton drives it deep, gets underneath Harvick off turn 4. Harvick shakes up the racetrack, barely kept it off the outside wall, and Hamilton clears him right back. Great job by Harvick keeping it off the wall up there. Stays in front of the 32 of Stremme at least. Stremme could have already been a lap down, but if he wasn't, that's another spot for Bobby Hamilton. 4 laps to go. Kyle Busch has gained about 0.3 of a second over the last 2 laps now that Harvick's battling with Bobby Hamilton Jr., but this big of a deficit this late in the race, Kyle Busch has to be more than a second a lap faster to catch Harvick now, which is just not possible. These guys, 2 even of race cars. I'd say Harvick, at least for this final run, seems to be better. I just think Busch might have went the wrong way with his adjustment call and whatever he did during that last stop, because Kevin Harvick never changed the car from the start of the race. Both pit stops they had, no adjustments. This 21 car has been pretty perfect as far as handling. The speed's been in the top 2 all night. 2 laps to go. And coming to the white flag this time by 4.3 second lead at the line. White flag in the air. That is the flag Harvick wanted to see. Put another lap car down off the exit of turn 2. He'll ride in line behind 2 more into turns 3 and 4. Why not pass them both off turn 4? Checkered flag in the air. Kevin Harvick is going to win at Richmond for the Fune 250. Back-to-back wins for Kevin Harvick this season, winning race 10 and 11 at Old Spice Speedway on a road course and now a short track here at Richmond International Raceway. Trying that drag style burnout. Kevin Harvick going to victory lane here tonight at Richmond. A pretty well-deserved win, to say the least. He led the most laps, wins the race to get the max points day. We'll take a look at the race statistics and the race finishing results. Only 4 drivers finished on the lead lap tonight, and only 2 drivers led this entire race of Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch. Even though only 2 different drivers led laps in tonight's race, still 14 lead changes between the 2 of them. Margin of victory still at 4.6 seconds there for the driver who started on the pole and again led the most, Kevin Harvick, with the max points day leading 168 of the 250 laps tonight. Kyle Busch led a decent amount though, leading 82 laps, finishing second after starting 10. Dale Jr. finishes a solid third, Matt Kenseth fourth, and Bobby Hamilton Jr., who came in second in points, will round out the top 5. Luke Castleberry 6th, Dwayne Borland 7th, J.J. Yeley 8th, David Green 9th. Green brought out the lone caution of the day, spinning and hitting the wall with the right front pretty heavily off turn 2. Everybody else missed him. Not only stayed in the race, but he ended up staying inside the top 10. And Mark Martin will round out the top 10 for tonight's field. The drivers who DNF'd in this one, I don't believe we had too many DNFs in this race. Just 2 of them, both for engine failures. Ashton Lewis dropped an engine early on at lap 22, and the lone caution of the day, or at least just before the caution, Paul Menard looked like he dropped an engine. Maybe leaving fluid on the track for David Green to spin in, who knows. But those are the only 2 drivers that failed to finish this race. Like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. That is going to wrap up this late night for me. And again, thanks for joining once again. Next race will be the Gold's Pumps 200 at the Nazareth Speedway for the NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005 playthrough. This race will likely end up being on Friday night, if I am not mistaken. But yeah, that's going to round things out here in this one. I'll see you guys tomorrow night for some doubleheader action on the channel. Hope to see you guys then. Thanks for watching.